Joining us now in a CNBC exclusive, Zillow CEO Rich Barton. Rich, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Morgan.
So if we just look back on the year that was 2020, I mean, certainly we saw so much, I think, the digitization of everything. For years and years and years, we've been talking about how ripe residential real estate has been for technological disruption. Where would you say we are in terms of that process? I mean, is this finally a tipping point where, and I realize you have a strategy in place for this at Zillow, but is this finally a tipping point where it becomes a much more mainstream process to buy and sell a home online?
Yes, like we're seeing in all industries, Morgan, we saw a kind of COVID-catalyzed acceleration of pre-existing movement from offline to online. And that clearly is happening in real estate as well. So we, as the technology leader for consumer real estate, saw a dramatic acceleration in the adoption of our technology tools, which ended up speeding home sales. And of course, the pandemic has inspired so many people to think about moving because they might be untethered from their commutes now, that we saw kind of a really interesting confluence of factors that drove some incredible results for the company in 2020.
Yeah, and I want to dig into all of that a little bit more. First, though, I want to hone in on the home segment, which includes your iBuyer business. Yep. I realized you had hit the pause button on that in the first half of last year, but then it resumed. Revenue for that business came in above the guidance range, but was still down 50% in Q4 from the year earlier. What are you seeing? We talk so much about inventory shortages, for example. Is that something that's affecting the business? How are you able to, I guess, leverage that dynamic?
Yeah, well, the results that we're seeing are kind of historical looking. So what you're seeing in the homes results right now is the air gap from kind of pausing the plant for a few months during COVID. But if on the forward-looking metrics, the homes business is as big as it's ever been. We've had our biggest quarter in Q4. We bought more homes in Q4 than the previous Q4. So that business is working. It's back and it's ramping really quite quickly. In terms of inventory levels for the housing market, I think that you can get kind of schizophrenic and worked up looking at select headlines about what's going on in the housing market. And one of the shocking ones is historic low inventory. Well, that is actually true. Inventory is historically low, but the real headline is that homes are selling on average in December in 17 days, which is 25 days fewer than they did the December before. So this, homes are flying off the shelves. It's a really high velocity market, and that is what has resulted in the highest home volume sales we've seen in 15 years. Higher prices appreciating too. And of course, Econ 101 says that as prices rise, more supply comes on the market because homeowners see their equity go up and they think, okay, now might be a really good time to sell. So we're seeing that in our homes business, and we're seeing that in this increased activity in our business across the board, from our traditional Premier Agent business right through our rentals business and mortgages as well.
Rich, I mean, I understand all the things you're doing to reduce friction in the overall purchase of a home, but do you ever think we'll see levels like this again, in the sense of it is somewhat seemingly a unique period? You mentioned it yourself, where people are suddenly realizing, well, I may not have to have that commute I've had, or at least not as often, and so I'm going to move now. I mean, or do you think this is sustainable?
Well, David, people make home decisions. They don't take it lightly. They make decisions over a long period of time, and this has been a period of extreme introspection as people have kind of reshuffled their lives and rethought about things. We think that's going to play that particular trend for the great reshuffling, as I've been calling it, is going to play out for many years. So that will be I think that will be a durable tailwind. More interesting, however, David, is that millennials are starting to have babies and buy homes. And it is a really big cohort, millennials, and right behind them is Gen Z. And everybody thought millennials were not going to buy homes, that they didn't want to buy homes, they didn't want to start families. Our research always showed that they were just delaying it. And what's happened now, it's been kind of delayed 5 years from the generation before, and they are in that prime home buying stage of life right now. And that is going to drive things for quite some time.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.